Welcome, readers. Today on Book Chat, joining me is my Buddy Reads co-host, Classy Green. We'll be discussing Pretty Little Wife by Darby Kane. Stay tuned. Today's episode is sponsored in part by Audiobooks.com. Audiobooks.com now has 175,000 titles and 1.2 million podcasts. New customers get 3 free audiobooks comprised of 1 premium credit and 2 VIP titles. Use our promo code SHELFADDICTION, spelled as one word, when you sign up at audiobooks.com. Again, our promo code is SHELFADDICTION. Hey everyone, I am your host, Tamara Ford, and thank you for downloading this month's Buddy Read discussion featured here on the Shelf Addiction podcast. If you're new here, every week we get bookish with book discussions, book reviews, shelf bites, and more. If you're wondering what is a Buddy Read, this is a feature where Classy and I select a thriller or mystery title that we both are interested in. Then we have a candid conversation about that book or audiobook. We even discuss it in our Facebook group, Shelf Addiction Official, during a live chat. So grab a glass of wine, a cocktail, a cup of tea or coffee, whatever your drink of choice is, and settle in for this fun discussion. As always with book chats, there is a spoiler alert in effect, so you've been warned. If you enjoyed today's episode, please support this podcast by sharing it with your book nerd friends or on your favorite social media space. That will really help me out, and I appreciate you for doing it. The uncut video version of this podcast is available now on Patreon. Join us there for exclusive videos, including this podcast after show. If you'd like to support the show in other ways, please consider doing that by supporting our sponsors. By supporting them, you are supporting us. Check out all of the sponsors at shelfaddiction.com/sponsors. If you've read the book or listened to the audiobook and would like to weigh in on this conversation, be sure to join the Facebook group Shelf Addiction Official. I hope to hear your thoughts on this discussion. Links for everything I've mentioned are in the show notes, so let's get going. Welcome back, guys. Joining me is the Buddy Read feature co-host, Classy Green. Welcome back, Classy.
Hey, Tamara, how are you? Hope you had a good break.
Yes, I'm great. I had a nice little short 3-day weekend. I didn't have a long spring break or anything like, some people get. No, not me.
Oh, the shade. Oh, the shade.
I'm not going to hate because you know what? I enjoyed my 3 days off and it was nice. And that's what counts.
Yeah.
So how about you? How was your break?
It was nice. The weather was nice. I relaxed, cooked very little, which added to the relaxation. So I am ready to discuss Pretty Little Wife.
All right now. Okay. So as always, guys, before we start this before we start this discussion, if you are interested in today's after show, head on over to Patreon to watch it. It's available right now. We'll be talking about some author news, a story we found that's very interesting, and I have a story time I'm sharing over on Patreon. So if you're curious about that, head on over and watch the after show right now. So today we are discussing the book Pretty Little Wife, written by Darby Kane, narrated by Z. Sands, published December 29th, 2020 by William Morrow Paperbacks and Harper Audio. The paperback comes in at 403 pages, and the unabridged audio length is 9 hours and 27 minutes. So those are the stats. Classy, why don't you share the synopsis, if you would?
Debut author Darby Kane thrills us with this twisty domestic suspense novel that asks one central question. Shouldn't a dead husband stay dead? Lila Ridgefield lives in an idyllic college town, but not everything is what it seems. Lila isn't what she seems. A student vanished months ago. Now Lila's husband, Aaron, is also missing. At first, these cases are treated as horrible coincidences until it's discovered the student is really the third of 3 unexplained disappearances over the last few years. The police are desperate to find the connection, if there even is one. Little do they know, they might be stumbling over only part of the truth. With the small town in an uproar, everyone is worried about the whereabouts of their beloved high school teacher. Everyone except Lila, his wife. She's definitely confused about her missing husband, but only because she was the last person to see his body, and now it's gone.
Dun, dun, dun.
Dun, dun, dun.
Okay, so I have to admit, I thought it was refreshing to have a book that starts out like, I killed my motherfucking husband and his body should be right here, but where the fuck is it?
Very refreshing. I was
Yes.
just like rubbing my hands together, like, let the games begin.
Yes.
She was like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
I know I left him in the parking lot.
And
What
I'm
do you
sure he
mean?
was dead. I thought he was dead.
She was like, when I drug him from the house to his van or car or whatever, oh, he was dead.
Yeah.
Ooh. Yeah. That
was awesome.
Like, I don't know about you, but there's a time every once in a while you'll read like the first couple of sentences of a book and it's either a banger. I think some people say the first couple of sentences of a book either tells you a lot or, sometimes it could be a precursor to something you're about to read that's going to be exciting, or sometimes it's not. And this right here didn't disappoint to me.
Yeah.
Not at all. I was hooked.
It set it off in a proper way. Like, oh my gosh. Then you want to know, why did you kill your husband? Where did the body go?
Where are these pictures? Because he had a secret phone. It was just secrets. And the way, and when I read the synopsis, I did not realize she was a debut author.
No, this was a really solid book for a debut.
It was. That's why I don't know if you noticed, I kind of paused when I read debut. I was like, what? This is her debut?
Yeah.
I mean, she did the damn thing to me.
She did.
I mean, and I'm sorry, we haven't even really got into the meat of the story.
No.
We just was like, she did the damn thing. She did.
She did. And props. She needs props on that because, I mean, not many authors can put out the first book and it be, I mean, really, I was looking for some plot holes. I was looking for something. I'm like, she did good.
I know. I was too. I was doing the same thing. Like, okay, so, because usually when you do find something that doesn't click or connect, you write it down. And I'm like, I haven't written anything down at all. I may have just, a few little nuances, but no plot holes, nothing. And gosh, I mean, her story was a very interesting story. Not unoriginal, but the way she did this story, I was like, bitch.
Yeah. It wasn't one of these things where you have to figure out, usually it's who killed the husband. Did the wife do it? And then we spend the whole book trying to figure out if she did it or didn't.
Yeah. No, we knew she did.
Oh, it was clear right off. We found out real fast.
And she was proud of it. She was like, yep, I killed. He deserved it.
Yeah. And she like, I plotted everything. I don't know how I don't think I missed anything.
Exactly. She was like, eeny, meeny, no. I mean, because she's a lawyer.
Yeah.
She's a lawyer. She knew her stuff. And she was calm. She was collective. And I'll have to say, granted, we'll talk about the narrator later, but the narrator also had the cadence of the calm, cool, collective lawyer, pretty wife. I was just like, chilled. Like, she didn't, her demeanor, I could just see it. I guess that's what I'm trying to say. I could see this woman sitting in front of, was it Jenny was the detective? Just kind of like, nope. And Jenny's like, something's wrong here. She's just too damn calm.
Like, okay, so Lila, because she has defended people, right? She knows criminal law. She knows what they're going to be looking for, how it's going to go down once the public finds out. She kind of knows what to expect and where to step. Yeah. And she does just that. So when the police, Jenny and her partner, approach, you want to come in and look around? She's like throwing stuff at him. And they're like, what? That never happens. And then she's like, well, I was an attorney. She's like, I'm just going to tell you, there's no sense in trying to hide it. You're going to find out. No. So let me just tell you. Yeah. She played that so well.
She did. Like when the detective, Peter, can I use your bathroom? She's like, right over there. And basically, and you can go look in my room and all the other rooms on your way.
While you're back there, look around. Have a good look.
Take a peek, sir. Have your way back there. But this was an exciting, chilled book. And I don't know if I've ever described a book like that before, but it did. I mean, and I don't smoke marijuana or not, but I was just like, this is one of those books you're just like, yeah. It was just, I mean, it was just so chilled, but exciting. It was, how do those two go together? Like chilled and exciting, because it did. It was one of those ones where listeners, you don't realize I was way ahead of myself because, this month threw me off a little bit. So I was thinking we were going to record last week. So I was just like, so how are you doing, Tamara? She's like, oh, I haven't started yet. And I'm like, okay.
Like,
and what was that, Monday? I think I texted you, right? Was it Monday or was it Tuesday morning? Yeah. And I was just like, okay. So then I'm like, okay, something's wrong. So I looked at my calendar. So I'm just like, okay, I need to pace myself. So once I realized I was a week ahead, I slowed down because I was going like fast paced because I could not wait to find out where the body was. Mm-hmm. Because like you said, we knew he was dead. Mm-hmm. He was dead, but somebody moved his body.
Yeah. And the author did such a good job where for a minute, I started to wonder, just like the character, well, maybe he's not dead. Like maybe someone saved him. Yeah. Like did his,
because we find out later that she killed him with gas. Was it like some kind of monoxide that wasn't traceable, right?
Yeah.
So, you're just wondering, like, did he wake up? Was he only like unconscious? And we didn't, like you, I was doubting too. Like, maybe he's not dead. Did he get up? And she did, because she was getting letters under her windshield wiper saying, you thought you did a good job, but you didn't. So, those kind of creepy, stalkerish kind of letters. So, yeah, there was
saying things that she would have thought only her husband would know.
No.
Or try to do.
Right. So it wasn't like, and it was an accomplice. Well, it could have been an accomplice, but the language, like you were saying, like when they say when people go missing and somebody's texting from that phone, they would say, Classy's missing, but that's not the way she talks. But this person who was leaving her notes, that's the way Aaron would have talked. Yeah. Because he was a gaslighter, man.
Oh, in the biggest way. So let's just talk about, Lila and Aaron for a minute. So Lila, when she first came on the scene, and she started describing what was happening in their household, it didn't seem like she was the pretty little wife, right? She had to dress a certain way all the time. Right. She had to have dinner made and do like she was a trophy wife, basically.
Right.
And she seemed like she was following very stringent rules. And Aaron was the biggest asshole.
Yeah.
Like he really was.
Yeah.
And it's like, then she finds a video of what looks like teenage girls. And she could hear her husband's voice talking to them, telling them what to do. So she was like seeing red, like, "Rawr!" When she approached him about it, he had the nerve to say, "It was a joke. They were playing a joke on me." And she like, "Excuse me? A joke? Are you crazy?" She basically called the man crazy. Like, "Are you crazy?"
Right. Yeah. Who keeps that kind of crap?
Right.
Kids are playing a joke on you and you keep this in a secret place.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that instantly, I'm like, oh no. And then, there's so many things here. So like, there's Lila's history. We find out that, her father was a serial killer. Basically, he killed her best friend.
Right. Yeah. He wasn't a serial killer, but he was a pedophile. Because for a serial killer, you have to kill at least 3 people, right?
Well, I thought, okay, so maybe I might have missed that, but I thought he killed more than one person and they found out after, because weren't people trying to say that's why she changed her name? Like she helped him lure the friend and others, or was it just the friend? So he only killed one? Okay.
Yeah, I believe it was just a friend. And she changed her name because it was just so prominent, that story, because it was a smaller town. But Aaron's family, come to find out, they're serial. Yeah.
And I've read this type of theme before, kind of like the hunt.
Yeah.
I've read that in other books where people hunt other people for game, for sport.
Yeah.
And in this case, his family, and they did this for a long time. And, find out how Aaron and his brother were left without their mother because there was an accident. And then we later find out that accident was the hunt. They threw the mother in the hunt.
Yeah, because she found out, right? And then she was going to basically tell, or she got mad and they were just like, can't have that.
Let's just get rid of her.
Yeah.
Let's just throw her in there. And they were doing things to these women, which developed. Okay, what was the brother's name? So it was Peter.
Jared.
Right? Okay, so Jared turned out to be the killer, and Aaron was just a rapist, basically, and a molester. Yeah. Right. So Jared caught the girls, basically, and then Aaron would play with the girls, and then Jared would clean up the mess.
I know. It was just
like, what the fuck? Like, oh my God.
Yeah.
That is crazy.
And I think he was supposed to more like lure them, but instead of luring them, he wanted to have fun with the girls. And Jared was just like, I'm a hunter. I'm a hunter. Let's get all that out of the way. Your little fun stuff, blah, blah, blah. But he loved it. And
and to make it worse, Aaron just couldn't deal with the girls that Jared found. He's having too much fun. So he started messing around with high school girls.
Yep. Yeah. Ugh. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
But, he probably did that out of convenience. I mean, he was a high school teacher.
Girl. So I feel like anybody, and he was like the synopsis said, their beloved high school teacher. Everybody, well, almost everybody loved him, right?
Yeah.
He came off with this certain air about him, and people just for some reason really gravitated toward him and just thought he was the best thing since sliced bread.
He was the bee's knees.
Oh my God. He played all of you.
Yeah, he
all
did.
of you.
Yep. And you know what, though? That's classic. That's classic. He is what do they call those people? But anyway, he's classic. He was the Ted Bundy. He was charismatic. He had that personality where Jared didn't. And that was that team of them. Here you have the charismatic and the killer. And Jared didn't have time for all that. Just he was just cold. Jared was just cold, man.
He was ice cold. Like, oh my God.
He was ice cold.
Okay, so
And you didn't recognize it at first because he was just like, I'm just not the marrying type. But then at the end, we do find out, how cold the blood that runs cold through his veins.
I mean, honestly, Jared did a good job of concealing himself.
Yeah,
Lila did not figure that out. She told him at how at the end, when the gig's up, people kind of just tell their shit, right? So Lila said, hey, dude, I didn't even know you were part of this until I followed him and saw you.
Yeah. Yeah. She really didn't. Because she was just like, they're two totally different people. Yes. Because, I mean, this was like the brother-in-law that you wish you had.
The best friend, your brother.
Right. Because at one point, Jenny thought that they were dating. He doted so much on her. Didn't she say like they finished each other's sentence, comfort each other when they went on trips? They had pictures of each other together. But man, he did. It was like he just patted down all that creepiness to get to his end game.
Yeah.
Oh. But you know what? That's a psychopath.
What did she call them at the end? She called them the something brothers. What did Lila call them at the end?
Oh, you are
the
right.
Scary brothers, the something brothers. And I'm like,
right. And it wasn't their last name. It was some kind of description. You're right.
Yeah. So, I mean, honestly, and so I think like when it comes to like Lila, I felt like she was really relatable to me. Like she was strong, she had a backbone, but she also was flawed. And some of those flaws almost got her killed.
Yeah, right. And I think that flaw that she did have, it was because, of her background, and she was kind of like letting loose. And you know how they say that one time when you let your guard down, you're just like, shit. To let my guard down. The one little time I let my guard down, this is what happens. And that's what happened with her and Jared. But she was like, it's never too late. That's how I felt like, with her, that she was like, it's never too late because what this motherfucker did. Right. Because, what he did was basically what her father had done. Mm-hmm. He was a pedophile.
Yeah. Times 1,000. And he was, associated. He helped a murderer as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
So he's not only a pedophile, but he helped kill.
Yeah.
And then, and this is something else about Lila, she was not a perfect person. She had an affair. And guess what? I was like, girl, you do what you got to do. Until it flipped on her and she found out. Oh, my God. So she found out her little part-time side hustle was really just trying to get the dirt on her to write a book.
Yeah. God. He was like, I thought he was like, it was fair game because he felt like she was peeping him out too, which she was. I mean, because he wrote not historical, but he did
true crime stuff,
right? On how people kill other people and get away with it. So she was, he realized she was peeping out his library, and he pulled out the one little book she constantly kept looking at. So he was like, oh, touche.
Well, I mean, I kind of felt for a minute like, dang, Lila cannot win. She cannot win. What is happening?
Everything that could go right. It was a Midas touch. Everything that could go wrong, or no, that's not the Midas touch. That's Murphy's Law. Yeah. Everything that could go wrong went wrong for poor Lila. Yeah, I was like, and that right there. Now that I say that out loud, I was just like, what the hell else is going to happen? Because that was it. That was the story of her life. Murphy's Law.
The only thing that saved her. Like, so two things saved her, really. The first thing was her own doing. Like, she was steadfast. She never indicated that she thought her husband was dead. She was like, no. Where is he? What's happening?
She used the proper verbs, didn't she?
She used the proper, like, she never slipped. She was steadfast in that. And she never, even at the end, when Jenny says, you got away with it, she says something and she's like, I didn't say that.
Right. She's like, Jenny said, is that a confession? She's like,
I didn't say anything like that. So
deny.
She didn't use those words. She tap danced around it, but she never admitted to doing anything.
Nope. Not at all.
The only thing she admitted to, was because she got found over Jared's body.
Mm-hmm. Right. So that was like obvious. She's like, well, what had happened was
he tried to kill me. So I had to save myself. Never mind the dialogue we had before that.
But since I'm over this body, I guess.
Yeah. And then the second thing that saved her really was the perception of like her husband when it changed and they found they found out about him, and then she had to reveal the tape. And then everything started tumbling out the closet. Girls start coming out the woodwork. Yeah. That also saved her because that podcast was like putting her as, hey, she saved our kids from this monster.
Right. And that's where I was struggling a little bit with the podcast because and maybe only because I'm a little biased after we read Swim. Oh God, what did we read? What did we read with the podcast? Swim. Night Swim.
Yeah, the Night Swim. Yeah,
which was a phenomenal podcast under whatever genre. But it was just little snippets of the podcast. It wasn't a whole lot, and I'm like, what is this? Because I just felt like, is she just throwing that in there? But it did. It came together.
It came around. Yeah, it's a true crime podcast. And the podcaster was kind of following. And so how they tied it in is Lila listened to this podcast regularly. And they were covering missing women in the area. And it was a local podcast. So they were trying to find these missing women and keep their name out there. And then, of course, Aaron shows up missing. And the podcaster is like, are these related? Are they not? And she kind of just kept it going in the background. And it's kind of like the court of public opinion, right? So even if she did kill him, he deserved it. Look what he did.
Right? Yep, exactly. Yeah. Regardless, we know he's missing, but he an asshole. So we could turn our head. What kind of person he
is? She saved us. She saved our children.
Right. Even though he's missing. Good riddance.
Yeah, that's what because at first people were like, what did the wife do? And it's true. When someone turns up missing, and they suspect their person is dead, the first person they look at is the spouse or the significant other. And if they don't have a damn good alibi, they're going to investigate them, right?
Yep. And they're the guilty party.
Right. And so usually, as they do, the mob comes for you. They're like standing outside your house, accusing you of all kind of nasty things until it's revealed he's a worse person than you are. And you just wiped him out, possibly.
Yeah, because everybody, when the detectives interviewed people, everybody described Lila the same. She was cold. She wasn't personable. Aaron just thought of her as a trophy wife and, blah, blah, blah. So they had this image of her. This preconceived image of her before. So it kind of matched that of someone who could possibly kill their husband because, she wasn't the one who, hung out and went to all the events and blah, blah, blah. But I think she did at one point, and then she just got tired of his ass and like, I'm not going.
Yeah.
Which raised red flags to Brent.
Two more things that I think contributed to her not being arrested or anything is like, one, what's the motive exactly? Right. Yeah. So she didn't get money. That was slick how the money worked. So the money that they had in trust, his money went to his brother.
Yep.
And then his brother actually had Lila on his document, on his as his person beneficiary.
Right. And they didn't look at that because he was alive. So that wasn't important. They were only worried about Aaron's beneficiary.
Right. And it wasn't her. So what was her motive exactly? They could never really pin down what her motive was. And you can't arrest someone without a motive and without a body.
Yep.
So she had that. Yes. And then she had a couple allies and she didn't even know it. Like her next door neighbor, the nosy woman. That scene where the woman walked in her house, walked up her stairs, and she jumped, the woman, she's like, get out of my house. She looked like she was gonna murder that woman. Like, you just walked
the hairs
in my house.
the hairs on the back of my neck was
and the woman is trying to talk to her. I want to hear it. Get out. You are not welcome. I'm like, oh, she gonna jump on you. You better get out right now.
You're about to get your ass kicked.
Yes, get out.
Yeah, oh that's God. How I felt. I was like, and she just kept talking, and I was like, shut up.
If you know what's good for you, you will shut up and leave.
And walk backwards.
Yeah.
And she's like, you've done this too many damn times. Get out my house. I was like, ooh, you are going to get it, ma'am.
Yes. Yeah. I'm like, oh my God, the nerve of her. But even after that, she still was like, she approached her outside and was like, hey, I see something different than everybody else.
Yep. And she's like, I can help you. Which kind of threw me because I was just like, ooh, does she know something? I was like, was that a little red herring? Did she throw her in there? Because we didn't hear much from her after that. No. She kind of cleaned the garage from the graffiti or whatever that was up there. But I was like, ooh, did she see something that Aaron did?
Probably. Or
she
might have seen something, but I felt like she might have seen something and didn't tell. Because she was very nosy. And then she gave her story about how she was in a relationship that she thought looked like hers.
Right. Yeah. And when she said, I can help you, I was like, the help that she was talking about was more than just washing this garage.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just like, and I think that might have been my one of those things that I said. It wasn't a plot hole, but I was just like, okay, so what was it Cassie or whatever her name was?
Yeah.
What was her
I just think she was just another thing to throw in, but it worked. She was a nosy neighbor, and that was another blind spot Lila could have had if the woman saw her. And the woman, I think she did see her. And I think Lila read between the lines and said, would you like to come in for some tea? We're cool now.
Right. I think she saw her in that early morning drive.
Right.
I agree.
So she's
That's
like,
what I thought
cool.
too.
Just don't say anything.
Yeah. Would you like some tea and crumpets?
I know. Come on in. You're invited now. You're invited in.
Yes. Come on, bestie.
Right.
Come on, neighbor.
Exactly. Like, oh my gosh. Oh, it's so much going on.
She's like, sorry, I was an asshole, but she got it. Like you said, she realized this is what happens when you are married to an asshole.
Mm-hmm.
Your defenses are up. You don't know who's your friend. So everybody is an enemy, and not just married to an asshole. She's married to a missing asshole. So yeah.
Ugh, yikes. Okay, you know what? I think this is a great time for us to take a quick break. We're going to hear from some sponsors. You guys check out the merch store. I think there's a sale going on this month. You can get some cool merch at a discounted price. Also check out, yes, a sale, girl. Yes.
What kind of sale, ma'am?
You know what? I was looking on my TeePublic email, and I think it's like 35% off or something. Yeah. Check it out. Yes.
My sister thinks she needs a t-shirt.
Yes. And
summer's coming.
Yes, actually, I have 2 of my own shirts in my basket that I'm going to buy. Yes. So definitely check out the merch store and, click around, listen to the other, inserted ads. And by supporting the ads, you are supporting us. So when we come back. We'll finish up our book conversation, talk about the narrator, and we'll give our ratings. Stay with us. Today's episode is sponsored in part by audiobooks.com. Audiobooks.com now has 175,000 titles and 1.2 million podcasts. New customers get 3 free audiobooks comprised of 1 premium credit and 2 VIP titles. Use our promo code Shelf Addiction, spelled as one word, when you sign up at audiobooks.com. Again, our promo code is Shelf Addiction. Welcome back, guys. Welcome. So before we continue our discussion, Classy and I realized we did not issue trigger warnings. So let's just do it now.
Sexual abuse.
Abuse.
Sexual abuse.
Yes.
Yeah. Kidnapping.
Yes. Murder.
Assault. Well, murders. Yeah. Trying to think. And yeah, the sexual abuse was sexual abuse of minors.
Yes.
You know,
and it was very creepy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like,
and
we didn't get like firsthand. We weren't
No.
in that firsthand seat, which was good.
Yeah.
But hearing about it secondhand, like hearing about that video was pretty gross.
Yep. It was the characters kind of recounting, but it wasn't that full on, but it was enough to know. And that's what I did appreciate about this story, because, and I think you and I have talked about that before, that, that kind of stuff. And when the story starts off, she talks about the video and these young girls, and I'm just like, oh God, it's going to be one of these stories. But she did it so well that, I mean, you knew it, but it wasn't like in your face, graphic, that just made you want to turn away from the story. And I'm not going to say she did it. It did get
your mind moving, so you can imagine. You could tell what was happening, right?
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So, and that was just something. I mean, like we said, we kind of mentioned it, but kind of wanted to like bring it up again, just in case.
Yeah, and there was a scene where Jared was trying to kill her. So he was like actively trying. So there was fight, it was a fight. He's trying to kill her, he's trying to strangle her and do other things. So there's that. But, you couldn't avoid it.
But that was the end. No.
Yeah.
No. It was coming to an end, because he basically said because he had her a bracelet. Well, I won't talk about that, the bracelet, but, and just like with most murders or serial killers, they have, they take charms or memorabilia or, what do they call those things too?
Oh, like,
little pieces of
or whatever.
Keepsakes, right, from their kills. I think he basically, did he put bracelets? Yeah, trophies. He put bracelets on the girls, right?
Yeah, but I
she was number 18, right?
Yeah. So, okay. So Jared, oh my God. So this guy, Psycho, was like putting numbers, and he would take some of their jewelry and engrave the number as well. Because they said, oh, this belonged to this girl, this belonged to that girl. But he would engrave 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that he has killed 17 people.
Yeah.
And had he gotten Lila, she would have been 18.
Yeah. Because he had something of hers, and he was like, see, you're number 18 or something or whatever, or you would have been 18. So yeah, just creepy. Just creepy. But
what we haven't really talked about a lot is the cop side of things. I want to talk about Jenny just a little bit.
Okay.
So now, again, I was like all in. So it's possible I could have missed something because I was kind of just going through it really fast. But personally, it's twofold. First, I like that Jenny was Black. I like that. But second, I'm not sure if I liked this or didn't. I could not tell Jenny was Black until she made the comment about being the angry Black woman to her captain. Like she was having words with her captain, and like in her mind, she was saying, oh, I can't say that. I reeled it in basically because I can't be the angry Black woman. Do you remember that comment?
I do remember that comment, but I thought I knew she was Black before that. And it
Okay,
might have
because
been,
I didn't go back because I'm like, okay, well, clearly I missed something when she was first
yeah.
introduced, and I'm not going to go back. Do you remember
Yeah,
what it was?
I believe it was when they first met. I believe Lila described her, and I can't remember how she described her. Was it her hair or was it her color? It might have been her hair, but I did realize that she was a Black woman.
Okay.
And it may have, if it wasn't, yeah.
Because
I do remember her
honestly,
being a Black
so
woman.
nothing about this character, we didn't have two narrators, we had one.
Right.
Nothing about this woman, not like she should sound Black, quote unquote, or anything like that. But I could not really tell there was any flavor there, if you know what I'm saying. Right. I couldn't tell at all.
Right. Because she could have been nondescript.
Right.
Right. There was nothing like the one book we read. I hate doing this, but I mean, this is how we kind of compare and contrast. What was the
Sundown Motel?
Yes, we knew she was a sister.
Yes. And I didn't hate it. I like that.
No, but it was so obvious the way this author described her and it wasn't like blatant, like she was cocoa mocha or she was cafe latte or, nothing like that. It was some other way that she did this that we recognized that this was a Black woman and she did a great job of describing her. And like you said, in this story, it may have just been mentioned once or twice, but it was very nondescript that you would at one point just say, is she Black or white? Or like you were saying, if you glossed over it, you wouldn't have known it.
Right. And if she did say something about her hair, not being funny, but all kind of people of color have all kind of hair textures. That's not something to me that I would indicate curly hair, thick hair. Yeah. That would not indicate to me Black. That could be Hispanic. That could be anything. Right?
Yep, it could be anything. Yeah, you're right. It could be,
So
I can't remember.
Okay, because I really was curious, but I was hoping you would just know what the description was because I didn't want to go back and try to find it.
No, but yeah, you're right. It wasn't in your face, but not even, I won't even say in your face, but just enough that we know that she is not a European or just a white female detective.
But this tells you that I didn't get anything. So if it was one or two sentences, it was lost on me and it was vague because it didn't stand out to me. Because literally that comment was almost like at 65 or 70% in. It was far in when that angry Black woman statement came out of Jenny's mind. So I'm like, I went this whole way and had no clue this woman was Black.
None.
So I don't know if that's good or bad. I mean, it's like...
Right, because a couple of books we've read, they kind of just basically tick some boxes off and said, okay, we mentioned a Black character who was a high school history teacher, chick.
Right.
Or, those type of things. But yeah, you're right. You are right.
And the guy that her partner, what a loser. Like, he totally was behind her back. talking trash. I was like, about
really, Pete?
And he's a rookie. Like, you're talking trash about me? Really?
Yeah. Man.
That's some white privileged male stuff right there. Like, really?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Get me some brownie points here.
Mm-hmm.
And didn't. Oh. Yeah, he was trash for real.
Hilarious. He's like, we're cool, right? We're cool though, right? I mean, I didn't really mean. She's like, okay.
Fucker. That's probably what she was saying in her head.
Right. Like, oh, okay. All
so,
right.
I mean, he was just blasting off at the mouth and, he was just, and she kind of was just like trying to tell him to chill, but nope. He had, he just had word vomit, just could not shut up. And she was just like, you are really messing it up here. You really are.
Ugh.
So, he was a jackwagon.
Yeah. But I did feel like they were doing legitimate police work. We didn't have to get all the details of everything they were doing, but I understood, the process of the questioning, the process of what she was looking at and how she was interpreting things, and how she was able to figure it out. And I love the conversation that Jenny had with her husband. Like, she's like, I don't know if I can let this go. And if I can let it go, what does that mean for me? What kind of person am I if I let this go?
Yeah. Right. It just showed that she had a conscience, not just, she was just a detective doing her job. This woman had a conscience that, at the end of the day, and I mean, most police officers do, it does weigh on them, or, if they're just really concerned, but that little chit chat at the end of the night, before I'm going to bed, this is what's on my mind, dear.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, she says, I don't believe in vigilante justice. I don't think it's right. But
yeah, it would, I mean, to be,
you can drag this through the mud, but she had to think of it logically, like when she had that final conversation with Lila's like, do you have any proof? She's like, I don't. And I don't.
Nope. She said, I just came over here to tell you got away with it.
Yeah. And she didn't have the proof. I mean, she could have been an asshole and drug it out. But without the proof, and as long as Lila stuck to her guns, she couldn't make an arrest. She couldn't.
Nope. Because she said, I just came over here to kind of tell you, I know what you did.
I know. Summer. And you got away with it. Congrats.
Yeah.
And Lila's like, I don't know what you're talking about.
No. And like you said, she was not mad that she got away with it, but she knew as a cop what needed to be done. And maybe just saying that was kind of like, okay, I got this off my shoulder, but there's really nothing that I can do. Because, I mean, her boss was a jackass. Her partner was a jackass.
We're done.
Yeah. So he's like, okay, so we're done. I'm just going to go. So she basically said, I'm just going to, tie up some loose ends on my side. I'm not going to do anything legally, but I just want for my conscience to be clear. That's how I felt at the end, that she wanted her conscience to be clear, to just confront Jenny and say, I know what you did. And I'm all right with it, but I just want you to know. But Lila turned around and did something good for her too.
She did. She said, hey, great. I mean, she kind of gave her some information without saying how she knew it. But, this goes back a long ways. Maybe you should check this out.
Little birdie told me.
Oh, yeah.
And she's like, huh? Why don't you tell this to, and that was something
you,
else.
She said, I'm telling you.
That's what, like, in this story, and I did feel it, but then at the end, it was just the culmination of it, of this sisterhood that she realized, like she told Jenny, you were the smartest one. You were the one I was most concerned about. I wasn't worried about Pete. I wasn't worried about Charles, the little, the political guy who was running. He was more worried about his votes, or, who possibly was going to vote for him. Jenny was Jenny on the case, on the spot. She was by the book. Nope, can't just do that. Or, and the boss is like, no, we just need to get this done, get it out of the news. And her thing was, here's this smart woman who another man or men who are discounting how smart she is. And in the end, like you said, Lila fed her everything that she needed to do to close this case, and then some, possibly,
she
get a raise, because her boss kept threatening her position, her job.
But with this new information, she can close some other cases and be the hero.
Right, because Lila would have been 18, so she could close like 17 more cases. Yeah. Wow.
And more that's than that, a big, because remember, they were killing women at their family estate or wherever when they were children.
Yeah. Right,
So you
before
have
they could even
decades of cases of bodies out there.
And not just that family, the rich men
Yes.
who brought that family in, because the rich men are the ones who killed his mom and just paid him off. They didn't care because they just want to keep on killing. Yeah, we accidentally killed her. So nobody looks. Oh,
yeah.
Oh,
This goes back generations. They've been doing this.
Yeah.
These old, white, wealthy, entitled men hunting women, raping them, chasing them, killing them, doing all this stuff, and training their children to do the same thing.
Sick. So this tradition can go on. You know, you give them I can't remember which movie it was, and it wasn't just about women. These people were hunting.
I think it was The Hunt or something.
Was it The Hunt? Oh,
yeah. They were chasing down people for sports.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. That was my first time ever seeing that, and I'm just like, is this real? And you think about stuff like this.
Roots in truth. I feel like that's happened before. It must have happened somewhere.
Yep.
Somebody.
There's a little true in every lie. Or, you know, like you said, this is where people get stories. I mean, you think about Law and Order, you know, this is based upon. So yeah, it really, I think, does happen. But this cat and mouse story that Darby wrote, I mean,
it was great.
Yeah. And I did when I was looking at Goodreads, this is her debut as a mystery writer. She's a former trial attorney, but she's currently an award-winning romantic suspense author. Her pseudonym is Helen K. Demon, or Demon, or no, it won't be Demon, Demon. And I was like, I knew I've seen that name before. So Darby Kane
pulled it off. She switched the genre smoothly.
Man, not everyone can do that. We know.
No.
Yeah. When she's not writing, she could be fine watching suspense, thrillers, and mystery. And she's a former trial attorney.
And that's why she knew her stuff. Read like she knew her stuff, but it did not feel like you were getting an education in law. You know what I'm saying?
Nope, it wasn't. No, it wasn't like that courtroom or that
like, remember Miracle Creek? That felt like I was getting an education in how the law works and other things, because it had so much courtroom time. Like, she did this so magnificently with not a step in the courtroom.
Right, exactly. But she followed the rules. She followed, you know, like you were saying, we knew this. Jenny was a detective. Lila was an attorney turned real estate agent who didn't forget her skills. So, man, I applaud you, Miss Kane.
Yes, The Replacement Wife. I'm going to be reading that. The Replacement Wife comes out in December.
Definitely. This right here was smooth, man. Like, if I could say if I could call this a drink, this was a nice bourbon. Man, straight on the rocks. This went down nice and smooth. Had no issue.
It was such a quick read.
Yeah. Right. So and when you mentioned the stats, like 9 hours, I was like, 9 hours? Really? It didn't feel like 9 hours. It did not feel like 9 hours at all.
Yeah. It went great. And I feel like if she's able to, like, kind of do the same thing again without making it without repeating, if she can pull it off, oh my God.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like I would be reading her books for a while.
Yeah. Hey, look, ma'am, we're not going to do that today. We're saying each other's words, okay?
It happens so often. I just accepted it.
All the time. But you know, in closing, we have heard this type of story or read this type of story written. It's been written before. This is not a new plot. This is not a new storyline. But the way she wrote this, you would have thought you've never read this before. You have, you know, and when you could do that, you're skilled to me.
Yeah.
You are very skilled. Because, I mean, we hear about this kind of stuff. Teachers molesting kids, their students and missing and all that. We hear this all the time. But
Mm-hmm. And I love the tagline on like the front of the book. There's more than one way to end a marriage. I'm like, oh, snap.
When I saw that, I was like, yes, let's find out.
Let's find out.
Yeah, let's find out how many ways. Yeah.
Let us count the ways. There's at least 2 good ways we know.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Divorce and somebody dies.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Yikes. Okay, so let's talk about the narrator a little bit.
Okay.
So Z Sands, I thought she did a really good job. I think she was a value add to the story. I really didn't have any problems with her narration. How about you?
I did not. I found no issues with her. I would say I did notice, when the males were talking versus the females. And I mean, it wasn't like really out there where she just really went into a male voice, but I did notice the distinction, and I loved her cadence. Like I said, she was calm. I felt like I could actually see Lila just sitting back there. I almost, I almost got a feel for her. I almost got that Sharon Stone in the interrogation room when Sharon, crossed her leg or what. That's that feel that I got from the narrator in the story. So I enjoyed her.
Yeah, because that character, Lila's character, was cool on the out. She was cool as a cucumber the entire time. But we got to peek inside. Sometimes she was freaking out, but she was like, it's not going to show on my face. It's not going to show on my mannerisms. You're not going to know it.
Nope. She would grab that little letter from under her windshield, just like, oh, a little ad. Oh, a little flyer under my windshield wiper. Let me just take this inside.
Yeah.
And she'd go inside and be like,
oh my God.
Right? Yes. And then like when she was looking for that stuff in the ad at Jared's house, it was just, I enjoyed the narrator. I enjoyed the story. I don't know what else to say.
Yeah, it's good. I think we said everything there is to say. Let's rate this thing.
Yes.
All right. You should go first. You shall.
I don't have any issues with this story, so I'm giving it a 5, man.
Girl, me too.
Man, because you kind of think like, okay, so there were no plot holes. The only thing we really didn't know was Jenny, if she was Black or not. But out of everything, that was small. Darby, maybe you could do a little better with your next story if you're going to add a Black woman. But other than that, this was a 5 for me.
It was good. I mean, it's been a while since I've given a 5. It's been a while.
It has been.
And I'm happy to give it for this one.
Me too. Yeah. I really am. I enjoyed it. She took, and then we can end it. She took a difficult plot storyline and did a phenomenal job with it, because you can't, there's not too many ways that you can tell a story about a pedophile serial killer, 2 pedophiles, the woman's dad and her husband, and do it in such a way that it was enjoyable and not to say, you know what I mean?
It wasn't overly grotesque or traumatizing, you know what I mean? So we knew what was going on, is a great word, but it wasn't traumatic to the reader, at least for me. It wasn't traumatic to me.
No,
but it was strong enough that you felt the injustice of it and the justice that was done, right? An eye for an eye,
right?
You feel it.
Right. And I think maybe because the way she hit us with it right at the beginning, she was just like, okay, this is what it is. Yep. This is what's going to happen. This is what I did. Now let's go back and see. Roll tape.
Roll it.
Yeah.
Excellent job.
Yeah.
Miss Kane. Excellent job.
Appreciate you. Yes.
Yes. All right, guys. So that is where we are going to end it. We are going to end things right there.
We got one in March. Yes.
Yes. Early on.
Yes.
Technically, it's April. So.
Okay. We read it in March.
Yeah. Yes. But this is our first 5 of the year, and it did not take half the year to get there. So we're winning.
Yes.
Winning. Yes. So if you have read Pretty Little Wife by Darby Kane and you have some input on that, join us over at Shelf Addiction Official and share your thoughts there, or come on over to Patreon. We'd love to have you, and feel free to share your thoughts there on underneath the video version of this podcast. And so next month in May, what are we reading in May? I should have pulled this up to be prepared.
I think it's The Echo Wife.
Yes, The Echo Wife. We are reading The Echo Wife in May.
Yeah, I think that might be a debut author as well.
Sarah Gailey?
Or is she?
Let's see.
I don't know why, but I believe she is a...
Sarah Gailey is the author. I believe that's how you pronounce it. This is definitely a thriller. It has some strong science fiction vibes. And this should be interesting.
I'm excited about this one too.
Yeah.
Oh no, it's not her first. She's not a debut. She's wrote some others.
So. Okay. Yeah, I'm looking.
But I'm excited. It's different.
Mm-hmm.
But again, we have the wife theme.
Yeah, the wife is a theme for this quarter, seems like.
Mm-hmm.
But we have a different take on it, which should be fun. So again, join us in all the places so you can talk with us about it live. And then, of course, if you happen to miss that, you always can hear what we have to say right here on the Shelf Addiction Podcast. Yay. All right, you guys, thanks so much for listening. We appreciate you for spending your time, and we will catch you in the next Buddy Read. Take care of yourself. If you enjoyed today's episode and would like to show your support, there are a few things you can do. Head on over to Apple Podcasts and leave a positive 5-star review, or like this episode on your favorite podcast player. It seems so simple, but it really helps me out. You can share this podcast with other book nerd friends or on your favorite social media space. You can also join the Shelf Addiction Patreon family. For as little as $2 a month, you will help us produce even more awesome content for your ears. You can also consider joining the Shelf Addiction Official Facebook group, where we talk all things bookish and more in a safe space. The Shelf Addiction Podcast is a part of the Nerdy Maven Network. You can also reach us via email at info@shelfaddiction.com. Thank you for listening.